I've noticed something about people who consume a lot of self-improvement content. When they think about what they want to do, they tend to think big as you possibly can think. Motivational books and videos all reinforce the idea that if we put our minds to it, we can do something incredible. Something like building a massive business, completely transforming your body, or becoming a genius at several things at once. This can get kind of over the top at times, to the point where if you took all this stuff at face value, you'd start to believe your only goal should be to ascend beyond this plane of existence using only your thoughts. Now, being a self-improvement YouTuber, I'm obviously not going to go in the complete opposite direction of this and be like, you can never be anything more than you are right now. Never improve. These big, sky's the limit goals should be what you're going for, but they shouldn't be what you're going for first. Let's take the example of someone who wants to become a game developer, whose first point of inspiration is that they want to make something like The Witcher 3. It's the best example they've ever seen of the art form they want to learn, so they think, right, I'm going to get started right now and I'm going to make something as good as that. Yeah, they're going to run into some serious problems because they just don't know how to do that yet. And this applies to any kind of business or creative enterprise. Completing massive projects requires you to bring together a ton of different skills. And when you haven't mastered any of them yet, it becomes incredibly frustrating because of the massive gulf between the perfect vision that exists in your mind and what you're actually capable of doing at the moment. And this frustration can make you give up before you ever have the chance to gain the skills you need to complete that masterpiece in your head. To turn a big ambition from a vague wish into reality, you need to start with smaller projects, things you actually can do. A short story instead of an epic series of high fantasy novels. A business you can set up by yourself or with a small team of friends instead of a world-spanning corporation. A simple video game with well-done basic mechanics instead of your own wish fulfillment combination of other massive games. A YouTube video instead of the next Inception. And that last one is actually a perfect example of someone who used a strategy of starting with small projects to do something incredible. Christopher Nolan didn't start out trying to make the blockbuster of his literal dreams. The first filmmaking he did was making short films of his childhood toys. Later, he went on to make an ultra-low budget film with his friends before going on to make bigger and bigger, ever more ambitious blockbusters. And this pattern can be seen everywhere. Founders of tech companies love to use the phrase fail fast and fail early, because there's always lots of small programming projects and flawed early iterations before they make something game-changing. It's also common for famous authors to have first books that aren't anywhere near as successful as their later work, or are even outright rejected. Anyone who seems to have created a masterwork right at the start of their career either has a lot of hidden failures you're not seeing because they never saw the light of day in the first place, or they made many versions of one thing until the brilliant final product they ended up with had next to nothing in common with what it started out as. Now, as for how to plan out smaller projects so they'll move you closer to your overarching goal, you should start by thinking of each project as training for a bigger one. And the best training schedule involves rapidly blasting through project after project by limiting the scope of what you're doing as much as you possibly can. The best way to do this is by restricting the amount of time you have to get something finished. This makes it much easier to actually complete things because time is something that's easily quantifiable. Knowing that you've got to have something to show for yourself in a week makes what you're doing feel like something real instead of an abstract pipe dream. Deciding on what a reasonable time frame is can actually be really hard at the beginning because your lack of experience will mean you have no idea what kind of unforeseen things will pop up to make it take longer. You'll be working on one thing and then you'll find out there's 3 different skills you need to learn before you can even get going with it. So whatever amount of time you think it will take to do your first attempt of something, double it. That'll get you closer to reality until you learn from experience how long something really takes. Now, after you've done 1 or 2 small projects, you might find it really hard to keep focusing on things other than your big dream goal. And this is completely natural because we all have good reasons for wanting to do the things we really want to do. That big dream is what you're passionate about. It's what makes you feel more alive when you think about it. That's why you should always keep your overarching goal in mind, even as you're working on the training projects that lead up to it. Keep reminding yourself that training with smaller projects is the only way you'll ever accomplish the thing you really want. If you do this, you'll be able to enhance and refine your main idea along the way, making it better than it would have ever been otherwise. As you continue using this strategy, you'll find that you're able to constantly expand the scope of what you're working on alongside your improving abilities. The first thing you do may not be epic, but it is part of an epic journey. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already to see more videos like this, and have a great day.